Drama this week. Drama this week. The president used the word ass. And folks are just tripping. Here's actually the exchange between him and NBC's Matt Lauer.
I was down there a month ago, before most of these talking heads were even paying attention to the Gulf. A month ago, I was meeting with fishermen down there, standing in the rain, talking about what a potential crisis this could be. And I don't sit around just talking to experts because this is a college seminar. We talk to these folks because they potentially have the best answers, so I know whose ass to kick.
Oh, folks said the president was upset.
I know who's black.
That really wasn't like angry. Let's just be honest about it.
But he does sound defensive.
He does sound
He sounds very defensive. You could look. One thing we know about Barack Obama, there's no drama.
President Barack Obama.
Correct. And one thing we also know about President Obama is that he's pretty predictable. And for him to be very defensive and to talk about the college professorship and the whole 9 yards, that's him being on the defense. And here's why.
He didn't predict kicking blank, though.
Well, here's why.
Okay, we can say ass on this show, April.
Well,
You're right.
Well, it is on Sunday, but here's why. It's because
Thank you.
So you can't. So what? You cuss money through Saturday?
I couldn't have him that way.
Like God don't know. But go ahead, Rob.
But look, this is serendipitous to the conversation because Barack Obama doesn't use that word. We've never heard him use that word before.
Actually, he does. Actually, he does. But go ahead.
But not publicly.
But look, I think there's two issues.
There's
two issues in what he said and what's happening here, right? One is this angry black man discussion that we've been needing to have, frankly, for a very long time. It's the same thing for women. You know the code or you don't. And when you know the code, you know as a black man in America or you know as a woman, there is a certain way, if you want to get along in mass culture, that's how you behave. The other piece of this, though, is the White House has not done a good job actually showing what is happening on the ground. They let it get to the point where they have to be on defense. He's right. He's been there from the beginning.
A press release is different than saying, number of people, this cleanup, doing this, we've done this, we've done that.
Showing. At a time when people's belief in government is as low as it's ever been, you got to show them, not just tell them.
Van, didn't you think it was hilarious, though, you had the people who were criticizing him for not showing emotion?
Right.
Then he shows some emotion and they say, well, my God, what was he doing? What's going on?
I think what you're seeing is, the country's frustrated. The president has not had his megaphone moment. Remember the last president, after 9/11, people were very frustrated. Where is the president, et cetera, et cetera. He couldn't find his voice. And then he stumbled. He had the megaphone moment.
At ground zero.
At ground zero. And he stood up and he said, they're going to hear from us, soon. And then the country said, okay, he gets it. The president has not yet had his megaphone moment. When he has it, things will calm down. But in the meantime, what we wind up doing is distracting ourselves with, was he mad enough? Is he not mad enough? He said ass. Well, he said jackass about Kanye. Well, let's talk about Kanye. Listen, people actually just want to be called to service. What are we supposed to do, Mr. President? And we will do it. That's what's missing.
But April, one second. But April, here's the reality. And I get the comparison with President George W. Bush and 9/11. The difference there was President Bush can tell the military, draw plans up, send planes, attack. There are two fundamental issues here. BP has to fix the leak because the federal government doesn't have the capacity.
We don't have the capacity.
One second.
The
But the federal government's part is dealing with the cleanup. There are two distinct issues to Karen's point. So really, they can do all of that, but until BP plugs the leak, it doesn't matter what he says. This is going to continue. One second. Go ahead.
It does matter. And the reason why this president has gone down, and he's going down again this week, and he's staying for 2 days, going to Alabama, Mississippi, and Florida this time. But this president has got to show that he is in control. And he's just this week going to meet with the chairman of the board of BP. That should have happened a long time ago. People are not seeing the president in charge. They don't want to hear, and I've been on Twitter, and I've been on the social networks. People are not worried about the word ass, okay? They want to see this president show emotion. He is a very laid-back man. They want to show that he is in charge. They want to see that he's in charge. And they want to see Robert Gibbs also stand there saying, this is what's happening today, and we're in charge. They want to see the gestures.
But Robert, when I say it doesn't matter, what I'm saying is, again, there are two distinct deals here. But the reality is, he can say all he wants to. But as long as 40,000 barrels are gushing out every day, He can talk and scream at the top of a mountain. That problem, unless it is fixed, will persist.
Roland, there's two sides of this coin. The first coin is what you're talking about. This is BP's mess to clean up. No question about it. The flip side to that coin is, let's go back 20 years, back in 1989, when the Exxon Valdez obviously ran aground. George H.W. Bush went on national television and said, I will hold people accountable. Heads, quote, will roll, end quote, when this is done. And so what President Obama...
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. First of all, with Valdez, that was a tanker.
But listen,
one second.
But it was a spill. But it was an accident.
No, excuse me. I want to finish the point. That was a tanker, spilled oil. You can haul in the tanker, you can capture the oil. I'm not dismissing it. The difference here is it is a mile underground and they don't know how to stop it. Go ahead.
But the issue is that it still was and is a national catastrophe.
Yes.
Where the president speaks to it on his podium and says, I will hold people accountable. It's called being authoritative, and it's also called being in control, even when you can't control the situation.
The difference, our culture was very different when Exxon Valdez happened. We didn't have 24-hour cable. We didn't have, and what I'm saying is,
basically one network.
If we would have seen
the visuals,
if we would have seen earlier on, I want to see a war room. I want to see maps on the wall. I want to see the plan. I want to see what is happening. I think they would buy themselves a lot more credibility, frankly, if people could see and feel like we all get it, that until we stop the leak, that is the major thing that has to happen. But I want to see how they're trying to do it.
You served in the White House, and so you have these issues in terms of how they actually construct things. Is that part of the problem, not presenting that visual to the American people?
I think that's right, but there are two things here. One is the president is actually doing everything that this man just said. The Attorney General is down there treating this whole Gulf like a corporate crime scene, waving handcuffs. If you're a BP, you're not saying they're not in charge. They got the Attorney General, Lisa Jackson from
they're
EPA.
investigating, though, the initial part of it.
Lisa Jackson from EPA is saying, starting the process to strip away every one of their contracts from the government. If you're a BP executive, you're saying this guy might put me in jail and take all my money away. The problem is that you are in a situation, because of what you described, you have a volcano of oil coming. Your tendency is to go in to manage the crisis, and you don't know when to turn to lead the country. And this is the turning point now, where people are frustrated with this. I see you're trying to manage the crisis. Now I want you to lead the country.
There are two situations.
And as long as the way that you do that...
But you don't...
One second. Finish the point.
And I think the way that you do that is what you see them doing now. You're going to see him down, boots on the ground. You're going to see him speaking more from his heart. And people are going to be shocked when they actually hear how much passion this president has to see a foreign company come over here, corrupt our government, kill innocent workers, slag up the coastline, destroy ecology and economy in an American region that has been a jewel for us. When you hear his passion, I think people are going to be shocked. And then we're not going to be talking about the profanity. We're going to be talking about the profundity of having a president that cares as much as the president does.
There are two issues going on. You have to remember, at the very beginning, 11 people died from an explosion. There's an investigation going on there with the Attorney General and others. But then you also have this situation of trying to capture this oil, trying to make sure that the environment is straight, trying to make sure that life in those areas are not affected. But what I think we're going to see this week, and the thing that this is where the president can come out and show that he's authoritative, that he has the passion, is when he meets with the chairman of the board of BP and talks about the fact that BP, who's making all of this money, as we've talked about before, in profits, they need to pay these claims. They need to go through the claims process expeditiously. These people are losing their livelihood down there.
But again, though, until it is plugged, these questions are going to persist. This is the secondary issue, and the problem is, excuse me, it is a secondary issue in that the oil leak itself is a primary issue, and until that is fixed, they are at the mercy of this leak.
He can chew gum and walk at the same time.
But they're at the mercy of this leak.
Correct, he said that.
But they're at the mercy of the leak, April. So you can't deny that. Robert, go ahead.
There's two bigger things that we haven't really talked about.
About 20 seconds before I go to a break.
One, this is not really part of the president's DNA. He's not a passionate guy. We need to acknowledge that. The second acknowledgement is that, as we talked about a few moments ago, he's an African American who's president of the United States. And the last time I checked,
has nothing to do with race.
And it does.
Excuse me.
It does.
Finish your point.
And the last time I checked, there's a majority in this country that do not like angry black men in their living rooms.